Now let's take a look at the Product Regulatory and Compliance Advisor pre-built template. Here I've created an agent team based on this particular template. I can go in and see some details about this agent team by clicking on this settings icon. Here I can see some basic metadata such as the name, code, as well as the description for this agent. And similar to the other one, we can also see the LLM, which is the default provided Oracle provided LLM. I can also have some starter questions that I can configure, or I can have follow-up questions based on the chat history. Or I can also add roles to access this particular agent through this security tab. This agent uses 3 tools. It uses the item operational values retrieval business object tool. This allows the agent to get some of the basic item details such as the item ID and some basic information. It then uses that particular information to call another business tool to get some of the extended attributes and custom attributes that could have been defined on a given item. So this is an example where there are 2 business objects, one to retrieve basic information, and then that information is used to retrieve further information about the extended attributes. There is also a document tool which allows customers to upload regulatory and standards document. This is what the agent will use for additional context to check the item against regulatory standards. Now let's take a look at how this particular agent operates. So in this case, the Agent Studio provides me with the ability to debug or test out this agent. So I'm going to click on this play button, and it will give me this particular chat window. I can come in here and enter my query. So in this case, what I'm asking is the item MD 1001 in this particular organization compliant to regulatory standards? I'm going to enter that query. And now we can see that the agent is starting to call the appropriate tools. First, it calls the item operation attribute tool to retrieve some of the basic information about the item, which then is used to retrieve further extended attribute information using this particular business object tool. We can also see that it has called the document tool. I can also go in and inspect the payload that particular tool has responded with. The key out here is that we want to see the item ID and some of the basic header attributes so that can be used in order to retrieve the extended attributes. So out here, we can see that the agent has come back after doing the analysis, and it has checked the attributes for that item, whether that item is packaged as sterile and whether that aligns to the EU MDR requirements, which are stated in the document. But it is also saying that the item contains hexavalent chromium, which is an attribute that we have to check against restricted substances, and the concentration of 2% is much higher than the RoHS limit of 0.1%. So out here, we can see an example of an agent checking the item information and attributes or the business object data, and then using that in order to give you a more specific focused response using that context and also determining whether that item meets the regulatory standard. So this is an example of where a business object tool and a document tool can work in conjunction, and the agent can provide a much more focused and accurate answer in terms of regulatory compliance for the user. The user can also come in here and look at the sources. This is what allows us to see the specific documents that the LLM or the agent has provided the response from. And I can, of course, go in and look at a specific source in order to narrow down or have the agent provide a much more focused response based on this data source.